it's your girl Nefarious, and today I'm going to walk you through how to sew the Jinx crossbody. What's Jinx? Well, she's this. She is a fun little rectangular boxy type crossbody. I've seen the artwork for this when it comes out in the food round with K&A. Oh my gosh, this is absolutely adorable. Not only is she extremely customizable, she is fun. I will say that because of the sharp corners, I do rate this a higher level. You know, it is like super basic zipper construction, super basic, like all the things, but these corners do make you question your life's choices. So I would rate this a little bit more like adventurous, borderline intermediate, just because you really Nefarious questioned life choices here, but that's it. The rest of this bag, super quick and easy to put together. I mean, we do some D-ring connectors here. We do a little rivet snap. You have a zipper as well. In the video, I walk you through with an 8.5 inch zipper, but I gave you enough zipper tab that if you decided to, you could shrink this zipper down a little bit. I think you could probably drop it about an inch, maybe 2 even. That's how much zipper tab you have to shrink it down. I personally think 8 inches would be ideal because it made it easy to turn this whole bag out. But that is up to you and how you want to do it. It is a bound bag. She is, I'll make sure my math is right because I'm already forgetting. She is 8 inches long. She's about 3.5 inches-ish thick and tall. So she is a square, but a rectangle. So I guess a rectangle is a square, rectangle. I forget. This is a math class, guys, so don't come for me. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into Jinx. All right, general tools that I am going to be using include my awl, some double-sided tape. I've got multiple sizes here. I've got 1/8, 1/4, and 1/2 inch. I've got marking tools. I've got various ones. I've got a pair of snips. I've got an X-Acto knife. I've got a turning tool. Got my lighter, just in case. A ruler. This is from Mormino. I've got my rivet guide. Got my hole punch. And I've got my clips just in case. I kind of was like, I'm missing something here. These are my general tools that I'll be using throughout my video. What we have included in the panel are 2 end pieces and 2 end lining. Make sure you're using your exteriors as your templates to cut that out. You should have 2 main body pieces and 2 lining pieces. So set that there. You should have 2 D-rings, and then you should have 2 exterior zipper tabs and 2 lining zipper tabs. So set those there. You're going to need 2 1-inch D-rings, 1 number 5 zipper pull, 2 sets of rivets. I'm using, I believe, 10mm here, and then I have an 8.5 cut of zipper tape. This video, we're just going to jump right in and prep a whole bunch of things to go to the machine. So the first thing you're going to want to do is flip your ends over, and you're going to measure down 1.25 inches, and you're going to draw a line. You're also going to want to make sure you find the centers on all 4 sides here. Once you draw that line, again, that's 1.25 inch down from the center, you are going to make a slice all the way across, because this is where we are going to put our connectors. You can set that to the side for just a split second. You're going to get your Z-rings. These are now Z-rings, guys. You're going to get your D-rings. You're going to draw a line down the center. Then you're going to use some double-sided tape. Pull that tape off, not to tape the paper. And then you're going to line those edges up with the line drawn down the center there that you've already made. All right. Then what you need to do is go ahead, thread your zipper pull onto your zipper tape. Okay, once you get to this part, you need your zipper tabs. You are going to put the right side of your exterior facing downward. You're going to want to clip that in place, like so. And then you are going to take the lining and you're going to put it right side toward the wrong side of the zipper tape, and you're going to secure it in place with some clips. Repeat for the opposite side. All right, so that can go to the sewing machine. So really quickly, we got to go to the sewing machine for our D-rings and our zipper tape. So we're going to go ahead and do that. While we are taking a quick, while we're switching everything over, if you haven't done it already, go ahead and find the centers, all four sides on your interior lining and your exterior for those. Again, 1 1/4 inch down, cut out a line. If you want to go ahead and also draw a mark underneath that, I'm not sure if that's accurate or not, but it's going to help guide me later. Just draw 1/2 inch, quarter inch down from the line. Just put a mark 1/2 inch there. Do that for both the exteriors. Then I also marked the centers on the long side of both the main panel exteriors and the lining. We will add the centers to this once we construct the circle. So let's go to the machine and get this part sewn up. For the D-rings, we are going to be stitching the sides down with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. You can backstitch really good at the beginning and the end. I'm going to set these back on the table. Then I'm going to take my zipper tape here and I'm going to sew this at a 1/4 inch seam allowance. I am going to go back and forth really good, especially across this zipper tape. I'm a little rough on mine. I noticed this on another bag I made earlier, so I like to go back and forth across the zipper tape just to make sure that's secured. And I'm going to repeat for both sides. Now I'm going to pull the exterior over, and then I'm going to pull the the lining over to match. At this point, I am not worried about things not lining up like on the side, because 1, that's going to be caught in the seam allowance, but 2, there's also going to be a bit that's trimmed off when we attach the sides to it. So not too worried about that at the moment. So I am going to give this a top stitch of 1/8 of an inch. I might go ahead and base this down too. We'll see what that gets us. I know I have to trim it, but we'll see. All right, and now that is going back to the table. So let's go back and get our next parts ready. We're going to grab our external end and we're going to grab a D-ring. You are going to slide the D-ring with the seam facing upwards, and you're going to slide it into that slit you made. It's going to go in about 1 inch. I'm eyeballing it here. Okay. And then right about 1/8 of an inch, I am going to sew right there. I'm sewing between my 2 seams. I know they're black thread, but hopefully you can see my silver line there. I'm going to sew between these 2 threads 1/8 of an inch above this cut line. And I'm going to backstitch really, really well to secure that in. That can go right there. Main panel, linings. Okay. Now, if you have some double-sided tape, I would use it. Typically, I would put this on the zipper, but on this video, I will be using the panels. I feel like it's going to be a little bit easier to control. So I'm putting the double-sided tape right at the edge of the right sides of our panels, both the exterior and the lining. All right, so we'll pull the, that's not good. Sorry guys, I just saw that I had another pin explode, so that's not good. Anyway, I'm going to line the right side of my zipper tape to the right side of the exterior panel, and I am going to go all the way down. As you can see, I will be cutting things off. That is what I want. That is what I expected. Is that right? Yeah. And clearly, if you want a smaller zipper so that this can come in more and you cut less, that's fine with me. I don't care. But this is just what I'm doing for this panel. Now I'm going to do the same thing with a lining, right side against the wrong side of the zipper. This is going to go to the machine. We're going to sew at a 1/4 inch seam allowance, back stitching really good at the beginning and the end. And then I'm going to take these two. Oops, this one got a little cockeyed there. Sorry, we can fix that. And we are going to do the stitch at the 1/8 inch mark, back stitching really good between those two seams. So let's go ahead and go sew these at the machine. I'm putting my needle down because I can feel that zipper in there, so I'm going to slide it out of my way so I can finish sewing this. Then I am going to pull this lining out, fold this exterior out, just like so, so that the, as you can see, that the lining and the exterior should match up beautifully. And now I am going to top stitch this in place, but just right here. I'm not going to go and baste anything down. Okay, set that to the side. I'm going to come in here. Make sure that's lined up. I am going to drop my needle right on top of it. And trim all my threads. All right, now we're going to go back to the table. So with our main lining, or I'm sorry, with our sewed zipper, I'm going to go ahead and do the exact same thing with these, sister main lining. Set that to the side. You're going to want to grab your D-rings, slide them on, and then slide your foot, I don't know what else to call it, of your D-ring into the slit, and you're going to give that a really nice tug, like so. These should line up pretty nicely. Yay. That makes me happy. Okay. Then we are going, so I should have had you mark this side. My bad. It happens. We are going to make that mark on the front side now. Because remember when I said my ink pen exploded? Yeah, my ink pen exploded. 1/4 inch from your slit right in the middle. And then you're going to put a hole there for your rivet. You're going to put your rivets on. And then set your rivets. Once you have this done, you are going to line your lining up with your exterior here. You can use your 4 points that you've made as like obviously your landmarks, right? Now we are going to take these 2 things to the machine and our panel of the machine. What we're going to do is we're going to baste our lining onto our exteriors for those, and then we're going to finish up this part of the body. So let's go ahead and go back to the machine. I'm just basting these on, so nothing more than 1/8 of an inch going all the way around. I am keeping the vinyl up with the exterior down. Oops. That can be something. All right. We're playing bob and chicken. 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. Back stitching really good at the beginning and the end. Okay. Going to top stitch. At this point, you're going to want to use a straight edge and trim whatever zipper tabs you have. Now remember, you can be creative and use a smaller zipper. That's why I wanted this. So if you want a tiny zipper, you can do a tiny zipper. If you want a big zipper, you can use a big zipper. But you're going to want to trim off that excess. So do that now. You're going to want to go ahead and open up your zipper. And we are going to put our right sides together, matching up our center points on both sides. Okay. You're going to stitch at a 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way around. I'm sorry, no, all the way down. Please backstitch really good at the beginning and the end. All right, so guess what? We get there eventually, guys. Nef has moments. This is what we want. You want to make sure that you can butterfly your seams for both the exterior and your lining, and you're going to want to line those up. That's going to be important in like 5 seconds here. And then you're going to repeat for the other side. Now, if you don't want to open those up and you just want to be like, oh, Nefarious, you can like lay this to the side, pull the other one to the opposite side, and just lay the like 2 seams together. It should work out the same way. So I'll do one way and do the other way. And we can pray together. Thank you, baby.
You're welcome for your hand and fix it.
Now, once you do that, you're going to want to find all your centers, because we need the centers marked. So we know that this is our center mark here, And we kind of know that our zipper tape marks our center there. So I want to be able to have my center visible. So I will use a Sharpie on this part here. So I can see that, and then I will preach over here. All right. Once I do that, I'm going to line my seams up. Line those centers up, and then I'm going to clip them like so that I can find my centers on my sides. You're going to do this for both sides. All right. Now I'm going to clip that back in place. I've got this one clipped in place. Now let's take our end. Now we've got our centers all marked. We are going to use our landmarks as our guiding base here. And then you're going to want to fold. You may have to give a couple snips in the gusset so that it lays down for you. You can do. So then we are going to stitch at 1/8 of an inch, backstitching really good at the beginning and the end. I'm going to check and make sure we ain't got no holies. And then we're going to bind it and repeat for the other side. There might be some reminiscence. You might recognize this just a tiny bit because it's very similar to another bag I have, which is probably why I named it Jinx. Let's check for holes. It's looking. Oh wait, found a hole. Haha, I'm goofy. You're gonna grab your bias tape and with a little faith, trust, and pixie dust, we're going to line this up. If you thought those corners were hard, just wait till you do these. There's it all bound up. I'm going to stitch this on at 1/4 inch. Back stitching good. Well, you know what I'm trying to say. Guys, it's late. Work with me. It's all on. Give your threads a quick cleanup. If you're like me, give them a singe. And then guess what? You gotta do it all again. But it's funny, it looks like butter. Make sure your D-ring goes toward the zipper top. I don't remember saying that, but I'm gonna say that now. Don't be like me and do it upside down. I could just see myself doing that. All right. I'm going to lose bobbin chicken at some point. All right. Now you're going to bind it. Now I'm going to stitch this on at 1/4 of an inch all the way around. Alright, and I'm sure you guys have heard me preach this before, but because it is vinyl and waterproof canvas, I am not going to put my hands through that. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to heat this up with a blow dryer to soften it up so I can turn it out. I highly recommend you do the same thing. Once you get her all turned out, you can close her up. And now you have a mildly room temperature Jinx bag. I want to thank you all for sewing along today with me as we made the Jinx. As you saw, she was fairly quick and easy to put together. And if you were like me, you were probably at that point where we were questioning life choices. Binding the bag, putting the binding on it is a lot easier than actually attaching it, but that's why I prefer to attach it with like an 1/8 inch and check it for holes so I can go back and do all the ugly stitching before we bind it. And it comes together really well. She is super cute. Like I said, I've seen some of the new artwork that's coming out, and oh my gosh, K&A Custom Fabrics is going to knock this out of the park, guys. And with that said, I can't wait to see all of your guys' future Jinxes out in the wild, so make sure you're tagging K&A Custom Fabrics and, of course, your girl Nefarious, because I want to see all of your makes. If you like this content, make sure you're liking and subscribing below so you don't miss any new and future content coming from Nefarious Werkz. I hope you've enjoyed this, and for now, ta-ta, and I'll see you around.